quality guarantee, they also stake a claim to the historic authenticity of the production methods. The market share of abbey ales like St. Bernardus has exploded in recent years, both in Belgium's domestic market and as exported goods to nations as disparate as Japan and Costa Rica. Beers like St. Bernardus are served for $18 per bottle at high-end restaurants like Monk's Kettle in San Francisco, paired with dishes to bring out the flavour as part of the emerging practice of beer gastronomy. The restaurant's name refers to the monks of the Low Countries, modern-day Belgium and the Netherlands, as the first craft brewers. The popularity of Trappist and abbey ales can be seen as a sort of consumer counter-revolution to the century of consolidation that preceded it. During the 20th century, the number of breweries worldwide plummeted, while a few savvy macrobreweries producing lager beer cornered the market in beer-drinking nations, undercutting local breweries and prompting a massive global shakeout. By 1990, the top 3 US breweries were responsible for more than 90% of US beer consumption. In traditionally beer-drinking Belgium, Stella Artois and Jupiler cornered the export and domestic consumption markets, respectively. And then the era of global integration began. Today, 3 multinationals produce more than half of the world's beer. Their advertising is strategic, their distribution channels are extensive, and they report to their shareholders first and foremost. These brewers are a far cry from today's Trappist monasteries in Belgium, refuges for men to voluntarily enter a life of solitude, celibacy, and faith. The Westvleteren motto of "We aren't monks who brew beer, we brew beer to be monks," references how some breweries serve a holier purpose than the profit of multinationals. But this is also their primary marketing point. In the mind of a burgeoning movement of beer connoisseurs, the modern monastery is the anti-multinational. The medieval iconography of breweries like St. Bernardus of Watteau calls upon a mythological prehistory for today's craft beer movement, a time when brewing was necessarily small-scale, local, and labour-intensive. A true craft. But these crafty exporters failed to provide historical context. Monasteries were actually the large-scale brewers of their day. Their establishment by Emperor Charlemagne, the father of Europe, during the 8th century, was the first time in history that beer had been brewed on anything close to a commercial scale. The establishment of these early centralized brewing operations preceded industrial brewing. The specifics of how brewing beer came to be centralized, commercialized, and exploited for tax revenue by political bodies in flux has influenced not only the styles of beer we enjoy today, but also the very course of history. How beer explains the world. This book explains how beer markets have shaped history, and vice versa. Throughout history, from ancient Mesopotamia to today's craft beer explosion, the production and consumption of beer have played a pivotal role in economics and politics on a local, national, and even global scale. Because beer brewing requires the adoption of an agrarian lifestyle, it has long been associated with the transition to civilized society. Chapter 1 describes the first recorded political economy of brewing, which can be traced back to ancient Mesopotamia, the so-called cradle of civilization. Beer regulations were recorded in the earliest codified law.